You know, Nolan and Stephen agree on some things, other things they agree to disagree on. And one of them is when it comes to funding our schools. They're at odds with how much we should be paying for our K through 12 education and where that funding should be going. So we decided to let them talk out a little bit.
So Nolan, Business Leaders for Michigan has this new report out, and everybody's pretty excited about some of the ideas in there.
Good ideas.
It doesn't talk a lot about money, which I think is still the driver in the conversation, or needs to be.
See, it doesn't talk about money for a reason, I think. We don't know yet how much money we're going to need to properly educate our children because we've got all of these structural issues we've got to deal with first. And there's no point pouring more money onto a bad system. This system isn't working for a lot of reasons other than money.
Well, that may be true, but if you look at other states, and I always say we're really bad at this around here, we're really bad at saying, hey, that state figured this out. Why don't we just do what they did? Maryland, Massachusetts, they started the conversation, at least in part, with the idea that you needed more money to get better results, or you need to divvy up the money a little differently, right? Massachusetts sends more dollars to poor districts than it does to wealthy districts. Why can't we do that?
I'm not saying we don't need more money. I don't know if we do or not. I know we're the ninth. We spend ninth most in the country,
a lot of money,
and we get the ninth worst results. So I don't think the connection's that direct. But when you look at things like the Business Leaders Report said we got to support our teachers more, I agree with that. And I think we should have merit pay for teachers. I think the best teachers in this state should be making six-figure salaries. But the teachers themselves got to buy into that system. They can't insist on being treated at one level as professionals and another level as factory workers who put widgets on the axles, and everybody gets paid the same. The work's all the same.
Well, I think they're concerned.
They should value great teachers.
Yeah, well, I think their concern is about what's the floor, right? Somebody shouldn't be making $30,000, $40,000 a year teaching kids how to read and write.
I think they don't trust a merit system, and you've got to bring them around to that.
So I think the skepticism about these arguments comes from the idea that if you ask if you ask me, if you ask anybody you know of means, what do? What are the choices that you make about schools? Money is one of the driving considerations. If you live in a district where you send your kids to the public schools, you're sending them probably to a very high spend district. If you send your kids to private school, the way I do, you're spending a lot of money. Why shouldn't that be the same for everybody?
But the problem with focusing on money is then that becomes the whole conversation, and we don't think about how we're spending money. We're doing a lot of things wrong in this state. We stifle innovation. There's not a whole lot of innovative education going on.
Not a lot of accountability.
There's not a lot of accountability. We've got to address the societal and cultural issues. I don't think schools have changed all that much. I don't think teachers are all that much worse. I don't think kids have changed any. Other things are going on that affect education, going on in the homes, going on outside the classroom. That requires us to make adjustments over here that we haven't made. And how we teach children who come from challenged homes, who are overly stimulated by electronics. We're doing things the same way we've always done them. We need to break out of that mold.
So the question always in Michigan is, who's the person who does that, right?
Well, that's the problem.
We haven't had a governor who could muster the political will or power to say, I'm taking this issue, running with the ball. The structure doesn't help, but
structure works against it because you've got an elected school board and a school superintendent over here. Over here, you've got the governor and the legislature, and they don't interact very well. I think you could make a better case for putting more resources to schools if people believed we would use them effectively and efficiently. And I think that starts with streamlining the governance structure.
Maybe.
Okay, you're both wrong. I've always wanted to say that. No. Who said you could moderate yourselves? Yeah, I think it's really interesting that we're finally having the larger education conversation, but I do agree with saying you have to find 2 or 3 things that we can possibly all agree on instead of starting very far out. But I do believe that we need to have a little bit more transparency about what we're spending on. Then maybe we've got to figure out where to allocate our resources in a different way.
But if you look at the states that are ahead of us, they are all spending much better and more. They're spending more, but they're spending smarter.
That with a good plan, a good strategy
they didn't just throw money.
That everybody agreed on.
A good plan, and also making sure that you've got the backup of people in the state, parents in the state that are demanding more for their kids.
And what I worry about, I guess, is the pushback, the inevitable pushback against the idea of turning the formula on its head, sending more money to districts that need more money because their kids are poor. I think that's the third rail that no one wants to
how much more money they need until we start getting a good strategy in place and a good spending
Well, let's
plan
see
in
that.
place.
Let's hope that there's going to be a deeper dive here, and that our elected officials are going to take a notice of this.